Yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen. Kingdom citizen. Yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen. Kingdom citizen. Kingdom citizen. Yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen of Wisconsin. Kingdom citizen. Kingdom citizen. Yeah, yeah. Kingdom citizen.
Greetings in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Dr. David D. King, Kingdom Citizens of Wisconsin, and I just want to say blessings, blessings, blessings to each and every one of you that's out there today. I'm excited to be with you. I'm excited to my guest that's with me today. Amen. And I tell you, he is my mentor. He's the one, amen, that got me going with podcasting. And for my birthday present, he brought me my first system to do my podcast. And he is uh, a dear friend of mine. I love him. I love his wife. I love his daughter. They have been a good friend, supporter of Dr. King, and I'm excited to have him here. So I just want to bring him on, ladies and gentlemen. For those who don't know him, he is a amazing brother in the Lord. We text each other every day. Good morning. How you doing? They are my friend and my wife friend, and we love them dearly. So y'all, let me bring Brother Tracy, aka Dark Horse.
David, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. And yourself, sir?
I am 3 shades of wonderful and glad to be here.
And I'm glad to have you. I'm just testing one last thing to make sure we got everything going good, because I'm on a new system. And I'm excited that I'm on a new system. So you're going to have to...
you got that Rodecaster Pro 2 now, huh?
Yeah.
It's a nice system.
Give me 1 second. Oh. Okay, so we can hear everything is good.
Awesome.
So those that are watching, if you can tag somebody, because we're going to have a very good show today. Tag your neighbor, your friend. Let them know that we are on and we're about to have a good conversation today. I like to call it the people over the parties.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Superman is ready for this kind of conversation.
I am totally ready for this conversation.
Amen. And so, and the reason I chose this topic, and this has been a topic for me since I ran for lieutenant governor, it's been something that been, what's the word I want to use? Bothering me, troubling me, because I see us out here fighting for everything, medical freedom, not indoctrinating our children, our gun rights, lower taxes. We've been fighting for everything. A long time, and I've been in this fight since 2008. I spoke at tea parties across this state, and I don't see things getting better. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about people over party, because I haven't seen anything get better. Matter of fact, it got worse. And instead of solutions, we only brought fear and hatred.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think somewhere along the way, and it's probably within our lifetimes, maybe it started before us. I haven't studied it that much, but I think somewhere along the way, the politics involved in the United States of this great America stopped being about people's problems and started being about party wins, people over parties. I
Mm,
mean, your topic says it perfectly. I think it needs to be about returning to the heart of that leadership, serving humans, not headlines or not corporations.
yes. And we can see um, the effect of government um, getting larger to the fact that they're in everything. They in
Hmm.
business. They're attacking farmers. They're in in your in the schools, right? In your medical, right?
They're in
Now
everything.
they in your bedroom. Now they making laws for you to bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it
go
it's
ahead.
it's crazy. I mean, not too long ago, I heard about a story where a gentleman, I believe he was actually here in Wisconsin. If not, he was in one of the neighboring states. He was a chicken farmer, and he was doing well. And he was doing well to the point that some of the other chicken farmers were starting to get a little bit pissed off at him. They were upset he was doing so well. And rather than raising their own game or even ask him, hey, Mr. Chicken Farmer, how are you doing so well? And learning from that and increasing their output, like I said, just raising their game, they went to their local politicians and had limits put on chicken, the individual being able to output chicken across state lines and in their area. So rather than get better, they asked Big Brother to put limits. And I think that is caca, because I think one of the great things about when this nation was started and has really caused our burgeoning for many, many years is that entrepreneurial spirit, right? And of course,
Yes.
let's be honest, it was started by a love of God on top of that. So they combined two very powerful forces together and said, "Go out and be fruitful." Right? And that's what he
Oh yeah.
wants us to do. So a gentleman goes out and be fruitful. All of a sudden, government says, no, 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 you're being too fruitful. You need to rein it back. And I think that is just wrong on so many levels.
And that's the problem that we have when we allow government to um to be in control of our lives and um and people start to learn how lobbying work, right? And
Hmm.
I got all of these masses, so I'm gonna put some money in uh uh a politician's pocket, and now I want him to regulate that everybody must wear a mask so they can buy my
Hmm.
mask.
Yep.
Or I got too many bow and arrows, so I'm gonna make them make a law against guns, so you got to buy bow and arrows to hunt. I mean, it's
Exactly.
just crazy
It
how
is.
we allow government to dictate the things that we're supposed to have free.
You know what? You bring up a really good point there. And what's really sad about it is that at the starting level, and this is just my humble opinion, it's not even government, it's the bigger corporations. Those bigger
Yes.
corporations are funding those lobbyists, or maybe it's not an individual corporation, but it's a group of corporations, the Meat Packers of America or whatever it is. They're funding these lobbyists to go in and get government to go the way they want it to go in favor of them. Here's one. Let's be honest. We know, and Tesla has kind of helped prove it with how popular his cars become. We really could have vehicles without gasoline. But do you think the oil
Mhm.
industry is ever going to let that happen within our lifetimes, and let alone within my daughter's lifetimes? But probably not. And there's a huge lobbying um, focus around that to make sure things are all inside the laws and outside the rules, and that made sure that gasoline will be around for a long time because there's a lot of people making money off of it. Again, it comes back to the whole, we're not serving the humans, or they aren't. They're not serving the humans, they're serving the corporations. They're serving the headlines, whatever it may be.
Exactly. And I believe that elections now is not about the people. I think it's about power. I think it's about the money. And the narrative is that Democrats and Republicans are against one another. But those lawmakers that make you think that they're against one another are the ones sitting around having lunch and dinner and Christmas parties together. And you
yes.
sitting there together. And they got us sitting there making us mad at one another. And in reality, they together.
Yeah. You know, here's something funny. Been in business forever, and I know you've run businesses and done the consulting thing. If you as a business alienated half the people that were your customers, how good is your business going to run? Right? Which is exactly what our two-party system is really doing for our nation. And they're really playing us against one another, whether it be fears or whatever hatreds or concerns we may have. I mean, here, look at us, Mr. White Man, Mr. Black Man, sitting across the screen here, having a civil conversation. You and I ideologically are very aligned, right? We've had many conversations about a number of things.
Yeah.
But what if we weren't? I know
we still should be able to have the conversation.
There it is. And I know from knowing you as I do, and you knowing me as I hope you do, you and I, if we had ideological differences, we would be able to have civil discourse. Yeah, there may be a couple of raised voices at passionate moments, but it wouldn't be spitting vitriol at each other. However, I get on what few times I ever got on and look at some news report or something, and people are just spewing hate, let alone across the aisle at their fellow man, going, why are you like that? Wait a minute. Hold up. Who made you God? Nobody, as far as I know.
Right. And I did I put up a post, and it was talking about, we argue and fight that our children don't get indoctrinated, but we already indoctrinated. We was indoctrinated with hatred. If you're a Democrat, I hate you because I'm a Republican. If you're a Republican, I hate you because you're a Democrat. Not I hate you because you did something to me. Not that I hate you because you said something about me. It's just because you have a D and you have an R behind your name.
Right.
Mind you, they both want better education for their children. They both want their business to thrive. They both want government out of their business, but yet they was indoctrinated to hate the other side.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, I honestly believe, unfortunately, that's how they want it. And by they, I mean the upper echelon of the political parties. They want us debating one another with vitriol, with passion, with going at each other, rather than being able to sit down and say, look, Dave, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with it, and here's why. And then giving you, like having like an old school, high school or collegiate debate where you're just sharing. You can share with passion. Sure, go ahead. And then when you're done sharing, I listen to yours, and we're like, okay, well, maybe, because trust me, I've had a number of conversations with someone on the other side who
Mhm.
believes differently than me. And there's been like 3 folks in my entire lifetime I've been able to have civil discourse. And this was pre-2020. I don't know about now, but anyway, and I was able to share my thoughts and why I believe that way, and they heard, and they would share theirs, and I was like, "Okay, I never thought about it that way." It didn't change my mind in most cases,
Right.
but it allowed me to at least be in their shoes for a moment and go, "Okay, at least I understand why you believe it the way you believe it." And that, again,
Mhm.
it's the goal wasn't to change my mind, and I wasn't out to change theirs, but it allowed the opportunity to go, okay, I can wear your shoes for a moment and see why you believe that. I can respect that.
Yes.
And then move on with my life. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right. I just had a conversation with someone that believes in abortion and I don't. And we was having this conversation. So I wanted him to see it from my side, right? So
Mhm.
I asked him a question. I said, "You don't believe abortion is murder, right?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, then why when a person kill a pregnant woman, he's charged with double homicide?"
Yeah, there it is.
And he says, "I never thought of it that way." Just having a conversation, not trying to change his mind, but
Right.
let him see a different side,
Yeah.
you
And
know? And I think that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid that if we sit down, and this is why even in my campaign is why I'm running as an independent,
mhm.
because um if you sit down with someone, you're going to be like, you know what? I really agree with what you're saying. And so, and then now you're trying to figure out, okay, and I think my camera went black on me, but
It
now
did.
you're trying to figure out uh, the the question of why you're saying what you're saying now, or why
Mhm.
you believe what you believe, or how can we help you see it from a different perspective,
Right.
and instead of saying, you know what, I'm uh I'm done with what you're saying. So I don't want to hear nothing you're saying because of the fact that you're not telling the truth. And I think that we got to show them that we are telling the truth.
Right. And
So
I think that's another
go ahead
piece.
and talk. I'm gonna try to see what's wrong with my
Sure.
camera. Go ahead.
I think one of the other pieces of the pie is that they don't want the truth, right? They want their uh, their agenda, and they want their agenda. They want you to believe that their agenda is truth. Well, truth is truth. I don't care where it comes from. If it's what happened, it's what happened. And a lot of people live their lives in I'll call it a veiled truth, to be honest. And they're looking at their version of the way things happened. Hey, I saw it like this during 2020, 2021, and everything else, or even whatever passionate moment in their lives is. And that's the only way it could be. Meanwhile, Tracy or David living in a different part of the country, having different, ways of coming up and maybe different skin tones and slightly different beliefs may have experienced the same event or the same time period completely different. Is one of our truths less true than the other? I don't think so. I think all our truths are, as long as they're fact based, are true. But how do we sit down and have that conversation where I say, yeah, I hear what you went through, and damn, right? That's no, I would never wish that on anybody. But at the same time, I didn't go through that. I experienced it like this. And then you share your side of the story. And if that would be to happen, people would stop being so extreme, right? You're not way over on the right. You're not way over on the left. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle with in this arena of topics. Maybe you lean to the right, and over here on this set of topics, you lean to the left. Heck, maybe you're staying in the middle the whole time. Who knows? You getting it worked out over there, Dave? Hopefully. I know I saw his screen go blank. I'll hold the show. Welcome to the Tracy Brinkman Show today. No, just kidding. The reason you're not seeing David right now, if you just checked in, is his camera went blank and he's trying to get it corrected. And we're talking about the topic of people over parties. And I think one of the things I've heard when I've heard this mentioned previously, and not by Mr. King, is that people over parties is anti-politics. And I don't think that's the case. I think people over parties is pro-humanity, right? Because if you can't, this is just what we were talking about. If you can't start conversations without shouting, we'll never be able to build the bridges that we need to build to make our nation back to the point where it's people over parties. And I can think back to listening to early back in my lifetime, listening to some of the debates of politicians before my time. And they did get up and, and just rah, fire and brimstone and, with passion. But then they would sit down and they would listen to their friends or their competitors across the aisle or on the same side of the aisle, whether they agreed with them or not. They would listen to them and take into consideration those sides of the conversation and then weigh both sides accordingly, which is why they were in the roles they were in, because they were picked to be there to represent their constituents. That's the missing piece. I'm going to keep blabbing here, Dave, until you're ready to shut me up.
Keep going.
All right, man. One of the reasons I think this happens probably more so in our lifetime is, and we mentioned it a bit earlier, is that there are politicians out there putting a logo, and that's going to be my catchphrase probably for this entire conversation. They're putting logos before the people they're voted to represent. And the minute they do that, I think they stop being a leader and they start becoming a brand. And if they're a brand, then they could, live their whole life in what they'll call in service when they're actually just a career politician, leveraging that brand to empower themselves. To David's point earlier, that it's all about power. And then with that, of course, comes, the money that comes with it from any number of sources, valid deals and, under the table opportunities that come with that. And I saw a small inkling of that when we stepped into the political arena. This is when we met David a few years ago when he was running for lieutenant governor. We were getting active in our community, in our party locally, and signed up and paid the dues and started going to events and doing things and going to conventions and the whole 9 yards. And we got to see more from the inside, and those of you who have done it will know what I'm talking about here, that you'll see folks come in. There was a gentleman that came in about the same time we did and stepped in, and he wanted to run for the school board. Oh, he wanted to run for something else. I can't remember what it was, but they said, hey, you should run for the school board. Okay, so he ran for the school board. And he had a very passionate set of ideas. And I watched, this is no joke, and I wish I was exaggerating this. I watched as those ideas get chipped away by those inside the party that were, I'm going to use the phrase guiding him, he says with air quotes. And by the time we got to the state convention here in Wisconsin, he had flipped his, this is my personal opinion, so it may not be true, and I'm not going to say any names on purpose. He had flipped his perspective on things and stepped up on the stage with a competing governor representative at that convention. Someone during conversations I had with him early on when we first met he disagreed with on many points. Now he's stepping up or on stage. So this is one of the troubles with maybe not the two-party system itself, but certainly the party system in how it's currently being run, is that it has too much power. When someone like this person or even David could be, they will try to guide you to do it their way. And if you'll do it their way, man, they'll put the money behind you. They'll give you all the bells and whistles that come with your campaign. But if you won't, and I remember this was one of your contentions about, well, if you don't make it onto the primary ticket, you would sign away saying you're not going to. And you said, no, I'm not doing that. And that's how they start doing things. And what's really sad, and I didn't know this until we stepped into the arena, these two parties are PMAs, right? And for those who don't know what that means, it's a private membership association, which is why you pay dues. And if they don't agree with you, they can kick you out. And that's why they're set up as a PMA. So they say, oh, you don't want to do it our way? Boom, you're gone. Right? So there's some of the struggles there.
I used to tell people, you remember during the lieutenant governor and election, and people would say, all these rhinos, right? This person is a rhino, that person is a rhino. And I realized I was the rhino. I was the Republican by name only, because I didn't agree. I was for the people, not the party. I was for bringing solutions, not pointing fingers, and it penalized me because I didn't sound like them, It penalized me that I told people we was all in the same band, but I was playing a different instrument. I wasn't playing the same. While they was beating the drums, I was playing the guitar, or while they all playing the guitar, I was beating the drums, because of the fact that, if you are a man, and I'm not talking about anybody individual, but if you are a real man, you're going to stand up for what you believe. You're going to stand up for what's right. You're going to stand up for what you believe in. And so for me to be challenged on what I believe, right? My faith in God, the principles of God, loving, bringing solutions so people can have a better life, not looking to give them a handout, but looking to give them a hand up, an opportunity, so they can have a life. But that ain't what the party needs. The party needs you to be depending on them, because the only thing they want from you besides your money is your vote. And they don't want to do anything differently. I mean, let's look at it. You got the Democrat side that tells the poor people, the Republicans is for the rich, we for the poor, but you creating programs that they try to prosper, and you punishing them. So they got to stay on the plantation, right? And then you got the other side. I said, well, we really for you. They ain't done nothing for you. You need to come over here. And I'm sitting there like, what policy did you put in place? Not that a corporation can prosper, but what if you put in place that everyday Joe can prosper to look forward to? You guys say you for our children, but you didn't get rid of Common Core. You didn't get rid of SEL, social emotional learning. You're allowing a man in a dress to read to our babies. So what are you doing that's for the betterment of the people of Wisconsin? And they don't have that, because they're focused on the next election, not the next 4 generations.
Right. Yeah. And that comes back to, the politician becoming a brand, because they're looking for the next 4 years. What if they were only allowed to serve one term? I don't know pros or cons, but if you think about it, if my goal in the next 4 years is to do great things for the people that elected for me to be in this office, and I only have 4 years, 2 years, whatever the term length is to do it, well, then I better gosh darn set my nose to the grindstone and get to work. And if that's
Yeah.
the only space of time I have, which we all have limited time, I'm going to focus on the things that I think are going to do the most good. That's just me. And I think that's the way it should be. Oh, I think this would be the most good. So this is the one I'm going to go after with a dogged determination because the clock's ticking and I only have a limited amount of time to get it done. And I know it's going to be a long slog, right?
Right. And, for me, I think every election should be like the president. You can serve 2 terms and that's it.
Mm.
I believe that if we had that in Congress, we wouldn't have all this fighting because the ones that's fighting been there forever.
Oh my gosh, right?
So I believe that if we had that in the city of Milwaukee, the aldermen wouldn't be there forever. I think it should be a 2-term. And here's why I said 2 terms. Because the first term, you got to clean up some stuff, right? The second term, you build from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you pass that on to someone who has the same vision but want to take it to the next level.
Right.
And so when we look at the beginning of the country, these people left their farms just to serve, and then they went back to their farms, they went back to their business, they went back. They didn't make it a career. And I think
Right.
that's what we mess our country up when we allow them to make it a career.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And some of them didn't leave their farms; they worked their farms, and only went in to like pass their votes, right, in the Senate or in the Congress. Okay, I'm coming in. We're gonna do all the voting. All the papers were delivered to my farm. I read through them, and I'm all good for this, and I'm down for that. And I got to do more research here. And then they go in, and they do their votes, and get whatever else they need to get done, and then they went back. It wasn't their life.
Right.
That term wasn't their life. Their life was their life, their business, or whatever it was they were. And many of them were great businessmen, right? So they knew the ins and outs and how you have to serve your clients, or whatever you want to call them, the people that buy your products or services. You have to serve them with the best of your ability, or they're not coming back. Same thing with a politician, right? You got to do great things for your constituents, or they're not going to vote you back in. However, the party has kind of taken that away. Like I said, I'm going to keep looping back to this, unfortunately, because, like you said, they want your vote and they want your money. End of story. That's it.
Yeah.
And they will guide you.
Go ahead.
I was saying they will guide you for both. They would say, "Oh, the reason you need to vote for this, and not the person you keep talking about, is X, Y, and Z. They don't have a chance. And out of this, you're going to waste your vote. And out of that, and out of that." Well, it's my vote. Right. If I feel like I'm wasting it, then fine. I feel like I'm wasting it. I don't. I'm letting my voice be heard, and that's the reason you get in there and you flick that lever, or you poke that Chad, or you punch that button on the computer, wherever you're voting from, is to have your voice heard. If you don't do it, well, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I always tell people, if you don't vote, don't cry. Because you had an opportunity. And see, and this is the beauty part too, because we're going to be able to remove one of the excuses away in this election, is because now you're not voting for the lesser of two evils. You have 3 choices now. You don't have 2 choices no more. You have 3 choices now. And so if you want somebody that's really going to represent you, your family, your children, your business, then you'll do your research on it. And how many times do a person got to tell you, I'm going to but then come back to you and say, I'm gonna do it and never do it, and you steady voting for them.
Yes.
That's the part that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You steady voting for these people. I tell you this something that was interesting. I had a coffee with King, and we were sitting there having a nice conversation. And one of the ladies there, I asked her, "You vote Democrat, right?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Can you do me a favor? Tell me the Democrat platform." And she could not tell me. And then I said, "Do anybody know the Republican platform?" Nobody could tell me. So you're voting for something you don't even know what they're standing for. But if you go to church, you want to know the pastor, you want to know his wife, you want to know how he treat his wife, you want to know how his children behave, you want to know if they got a marriage ministry, a couple ministry, a single ministry, a youth ministry. You want to go deep into that church to know what that church is about before you even say you want to become a member. Why don't we do that with our elected officials?
Thank you. Right? You hear, I grew up, I'm a third generation military man. My grandfather was military, my dad was military. I served as well. So the whole civic duty to vote, it's not, to me and to many others like yourself, it's not this shallow check the box phrase that we just chuck around. It's almost like this moral obligation. But I think with that same sense should come this same level of respect to do the research. And I'm talking
Yeah.
about doing the research before they're making those folks start calling you with the robocalls, or before they start doing the door knocking. You know that every 4 years there's going to be the big vote. Well,
Yeah.
maybe a year before, you start paying attention to who's talking about running, and start doing your research then. And I say that because there are great people that start running and get chopped off early on because they can't carry enough votes, and won't keep trying after that because they're going to sign the little thing. Hey, I'm not going to go oppose the major person running because I signed the thing for the left or for the right. Because if you did your research early on, forget just knowing the whole party's platform. That person you're going to be voting for, whether it's a mayor, a governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, whatever, you know what they stand for, and then you know what his opponent stands for, and you're like, oh man, I'm totally for this guy. Now you are already queued up and ready to vote when that day comes. And when you start having those conversations with your neighbors and your loved ones and your church friends, and maybe you got beer drinking buddies, I don't know who's listening right now, you can share your valid points because you've taken a few minutes, heck, a few hours, and done the research to say, all right, this is a civic duty. I need to hold it to my heart with that same amount of emotion, not just, well, they got that R check. I know I believe in the Republican platform, but to your point, do you really? I was aghast at some of the things that the platform was for, and I'm like, no, I don't know.
Exactly. I tell people this: if you want a person or any candidate telling you, I'm for the people, where's your receipts? I've been working for the people for a very long time. I've been helping families. I've been helping individuals as a business coach, helping them get their business to the next level. Dealing with families that's dealing with marriage problems or death or whatever. But my work for the people is not just in the city of Milwaukee; it's across the state. I'm in contact with people all over the state of Wisconsin, and they have problems. We pray together, we talk together. I could have said, you know what, I didn't win the lieutenant governor thing. I'm gonna go back to Milwaukee. I'm not gonna talk to nobody outside of Milwaukee. But as a people person, and a person that says out of his mouth, I'm there for you, the people, I wasn't there for you because of the election. I'm there for you because that's what I do. And so
Yeah.
when politicians come and say I'm for the people, then let me see your resume to see how long you really been there for the people. And
Right.
if you're already in office, let me look at your voting record to see if you voted for the people. I mean, it's simple. It's not something
See?
that's really hard to do. All
Mm.
we have to do is be willing to do the extra step to say, you know what? The same way we'll do we're a better restaurant, right? Or we're a better hotel. We don't just go to any hotel. The hotel we going to, we don't look at the ratings. We don't look at comments. We do it all. We don't just go and stay somewhere. We want to know what kind of experience other people had with that hotel, with the restaurant. Is the food good? Is the service fast? It's some of everything. But
Yeah.
I tell people like this because some people ask me, well, why are you running as a independent? Okay, let's look at a small town, all right? And in this small town, you got a McDonald's, all right? And McDonald's represent the Democrat Party. So you got McDonald's, they're doing it however they do it. And then you got the other side, all of a sudden, a Burger King moves into town. So now
Hmm.
you have Burger King and McDonald's, and what they're doing, they're fighting to get your attention, right? One is telling you the Whopper is better than the Big Mac and everything like that. So now you're so used to going to McDonald's and you're so used to going to Burger King that you're tired and you want something fresh. And here I come, Chick-fil-A, and saying, "Hey, I'm here to serve you." You look at Chick-fil-A service, they get you in and out, they take care of you, they more respectful,
Hmm.
the restaurants look a lot better, and all of a sudden they got a long line. It don't take them long. You go to McDonald's, you got a long line, you sit there for 45 minutes. And so you ain't so now you ain't gotta go to McDonald's. So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A because they're gonna take care of me. Well, in
Hmm.
this election, I'm the Chick-fil-A. I'm the one there for the people.
It's funny you happen to mention those three particular brands. I mean, I'm not a fan of either one of the burger brands. I do like Chick-fil-A though. And one of the things that has made Chick-fil-A so good as a business model and per capita blow the doors off both those other two brands is the fact that they narrow their focus, right? Think about,
Hold on one
just
second.
go ahead
Hold
and
on one
anybody
second.
listening, close your,
Hold on one second, Tracy, because there's a gentleman on here, and I'm gonna jack him up when I see him.
uh-oh.
Dr. Terrence Ray Moore. Terrence, I put a Ray in there because I'm finna get you, sir. He gonna say, "Come on, Apostle Chick-fil-A. Not going to let you live this one down." Oh man, I gotta watch you now. I gotta watch it. You gotta watch this one right here, though. This guy right here, we gotta watch. Okay, go ahead, Tracy. I just had to
Anyway,
get him
I
back.
think one of the things I learned about Chick-fil-A is their business model is brilliant. Forget the fact
Yeah,
they're closed on Sundays for their religious beliefs. Whether you agree with that or not, that's fine, ladies and gentlemen. That's how they want to run their business, and that's their right. It's like we were talking about earlier. They're doing what they believe is right, but they sell more per capita, per restaurant, only being open 6 days a week and having less stores. They blow the
mm,
monetary doors off of McDonald's and Burger King. And one of the reasons they do is because they're so narrow in their focus. It's chicken.
yes,
And it's
yes,
chicken in a couple different ways. And if anybody
yes.
paused for a moment right now and closed their eyes and pictured the last Burger King or McDonald's menu that they looked at, how many items are on there? 27, 28,
Yes.
104. I don't know. I don't go there anymore. There's a lot, and it's always changing. You
Right.
go to Chick-fil-A, you can get chicken on a bun, you can get chicken nuggets, and you can get French fries and something to drink. There's a couple
Yeah.
other things, but I mean, that's their focus. And the
Yes.
same thing should be happening to our service gentlemen and women, right? If they're going to be politicians, they should narrow their focus on their constituents and what is best for them, not being
Yeah.
dragged over here. Oh, let's add salads to our community. I don't want a
Right.
damn salad. I want a good education for my student. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And you know, I'm glad you put it that way, because if we go back to being narrowed to focus on the people, I mean, we got
Mhm.
inflation, we got high taxes, and elderlies are losing their home because taxes is rising, but their income is not rising.
No.
And it's sad to say that the elderly who worked all their life to get a home to lose it to government and not to the mortgage company.
Right. Yes. And heaven forbid something like 2008 would happen again and the real estate market takes a dip, and how many people would just lose it because they're already living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
They're barely making it by, and something happens, they'll lose it all. And if something happens to the market or to the country or whatever, well, 2020, I mean, how many people lost a lot of stuff, monetarily, physically, homes, whatever, during that same downturn?
Yes. And let me share something that was shocking. When I was born in 1961,
Mhm.
there was 5 vaccines that we had to take at the time. 5. 5. It blows my mind. 5, right? Uh, and and when I look at how many the children got to take today, it's scary.
Here's what's even funnier about that, because I just happen to know
That
those.
most doctors, huh?
I was just saying what's even funnier about
What
that
you said?
is we, because I was in the military, my dad always moved, and we always had to be sure we were up on those shots. And they were, for those that don't know, smallpox, diphtheria, tetanus, which is the one that really hurt, pertussis, and polio. Those were the 5 that he's talking
Yes.
about, and I had to get tetanus a couple extra times when my dad took us as a family when he got stationed over in Europe, and, I remember getting one, oh god, it would have been 1972 or 3, and, my arm hurt for, like, 2 days, but that was
Yes.
it.
That was it.
To your point, it was 5. That was it. And most of these are names of diseases that you're like, okay, I remember that disease and I get it. It made
Right.
sense. I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm questioning even a couple of those back then, like smallpox. I had chickenpox. I didn't get smallpox. I got chickenpox at 18. And they're like, oh, you're going to be sterile. Yeah, well, father of 4, so I think I'm doing okay. So anyway,
Yeah. And I look at them today, and the doctors, some of the doctors, I can't say all, but
mhm.
majority of the doctors don't even get their children vaccinated.
I think, and we can go down this rabbit hole too. I think there are 2 schools of thought, and there are old school doctors who believe more in treating patients, right?
Mhm.
I come into you, I have an issue, you want to rid me of the issue, not surface treat the symptoms. And then there's
Exactly.
a school of thought of, I come in with an issue, and oh, here's a perfect example. About a decade and a half ago, I went to the doctor almost for one of the last times for an issue. I had my big toe was hurting. The knuckle in my big toe was really, I mean, if I would hit it with my other foot, I would almost say curse words. It was that painful. And he diagnosed me with gout. And his treatment for this, shock, was pills. And I'm like, okay, well, how long would it take for this to go away? He says, no, you'll just be taking these like the rest of your life. Dude, I'm in my 40s. I'm not taking pills for 40 years. That was my mentality. So I chose not to do it. And about that weekend after I visited it was, and did a little research about gout, made some alterations in my diet, and it slowly started to go away. And now, I mean, every once in a while I get a little flare up and ouchy, but it's not there. I didn't need to take pills. He wasn't treating the issue. He was treating the surface, the symptom. And there's another, course of conversation. So many of the politicians are talking about symptoms and not the root issue. The root issue, ladies and gentlemen, this is my opinion, is not racism is everywhere. It's we're being flared up by parties out there so that we won't have a conversation with one another because I'm a white man or you're a black man or you're a white woman or a black woman or you're Asian or you're whatever you are. As long as if I can keep you guys going, oh, well, he's a white guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's a black man, he's whatever. As long as I keep you doing that, then we can't have that normal conversation like we were alluding to earlier.
Yes. And James Madison said, knowledge will always govern ignorance. And so if I can keep the information from you, I believe this, and I want your thought on this. I believe that state issue insurance should include holistic doctors and chiropractors.
Yes.
And the reason I say that is because instead of us just feeding everybody pills, why not prevent it early?
Mm-hmm. Well,
my daughter, and then I'll let you tell me your thought on this. But my daughter had lupus, and she was sick, and my wife went to Mississippi, got her, brought her back here, and she gave her nothing but bitter herbs. Bitter herbs. When my daughter went back to Mississippi and went to her doctor, guess what? Lupus was gone. Lupus was gone off these bitter herbs. And I'm sitting there saying, if somebody is diagnosed with something and they on state insurance, but they don't want to cost the state a lot of money, but they want to be healed, I believe they should be able to go to a holistic doctor and say, hey, this is what I need. This is what they say I have. What herbs or what way you think changing my diet that I don't have to have this?
Yeah.
And I'm not dismissing medication, but I'm just saying the government should not make those kind of decisions. That families should make those kind of decisions. And
agreed.
I watched and had conversation with mothers who took their babies to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor lined up their babies, and their babies was more alert, and their babies slept well.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, babies at chiropractors?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's
oh my God. If everybody had this kind of information.
Here's the problem with that. I'm with you. First, let me answer your initial question. Yes, if there's state-funded insurance that anybody is receiving, they should be able to go to a holistic doctor, whatever certification there needs to be to be on that list. Fine, I'm okay with that. chiropractors, they go through a whole lot of schooling. I know 2 of them. One's a good friend of mine. He went through a whole host of schooling to become the chiropractor that he is today. And we went to him almost weekly when we lived up close to you. Now we go to one out here at least once a month. And if I have an issue or any one of us have an issue, we're going to go over there and get adjusted rather than take a bunch of pain pills. Here's the challenge that's going to come with that in our current system. In our current system, that state funding will need money from somewhere. And one of the things that's going to happen is the pharmaceutical company is going to say, we'll help you fund that. But in order for us to fund that, those holistic folks, they got to go. Because I can't have those folks stealing away my pharmaceutical, revenue stream. If I'm helping pay for these people to go to doctors, those doctors are going to give them my medications, and that medication is going to turn around and offset how I'm helping you. So it becomes self-centered. It's not serving anybody except themselves. Don't get me wrong. To your point, there is a good point for medicines. I get it. They serve a purpose. However, that purpose should not be only to line someone's pocket. And if that's the ultimate goal, then it's going to keep going downhill. And we've seen that over the course of your and my lifetime, of how pharmaceuticals have just become the answer to everything. Last time we were anytime we go to visit, over in West Bend, we stay at a hotel. And to your point, we've done the research on the hotel and looked at everything and done all and picked that hotel. But when we're sitting there watching TV, we don't watch TV with commercials here. It's just no. But when we do at those hotels, you know what maybe 80% of the commercials are? Pharmaceuticals. All of them. Mm-hmm. I want to say it's 100%, but I don't want to exaggerate on purpose. They're all pharmaceuticals. Hey, you're losing your hair. Hey, you got pimples on your face. Hey, you got a dark mark on your nose. Hey, you can't digest food well. Hey, you stink. Whatever. Maybe take a shower. How about that? Right? Stop trying to sell me some pill because I got body odor. How about I just take a shower? I don't know. I'm being a little tongue in cheek because it's gone that extreme where TV, even the programs we watch, are funded by pharmaceutical companies. So that is a great plan to be able to include holistic medicines into a government-funded medical assistance. However, that's going to be a fight tooth and nail with those pharmaceutical companies because they got their hooks in deep already, and it's man, if someone could pull that off, that would be brilliant. It almost here's one. I'm all about the entrepreneur creating. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's listening to this or live right now or listen to it later, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, here's a gap that needs to be filled. There are people on government-provided medical programs that need holistic care. Fill that void. I guarantee you there's a way to do it. I don't know what it is. I'm not that smart. But I can imagine there's a number of holistic centers, holistic clinic centers, holistic doctors, chiropractors that would sign up to throw pennies into the pot, instead of a pharmaceutical company, as a way to get you to send them clientele. Just a thought. I'm going to put it out there into the universe, and whoever needs it will pick it up and run with it.
But I think it can be done. I mean, if we got school choice done, I think we can get it done. I think it's more of empowering the people, the benefits of having it, because a lot of people don't understand the benefits of it. A lot of people don't understand the benefit of a chiropractor, right? To go to a chiropractor.
Very true.
And
that's
get
very
straightened.
true.
And so, but once we start to educate and say, hey, listen, this is what it is. And I believe that bringing in the holistic and chiropractors will drop the amount of people that needs the Medicare, because now they're taking care of their body a little better.
Yes.
And so, I mean, especially myself, when I really got into holistic, master herbalists, chiropractors, they made me think about a lot of things that I was doing with my body, the stuff that I was eating. Uh, I never did like taking medication, because my daughter, she's a pharmacist tech, and I'd be like, okay, what's the side effects? I don't like
Mm-hmm.
side effects. Um,
Yes.
I'm taking herbs now and drinking teas now that help flush my kidneys and help balance my liver. And I did, with my holistic doctor, I've done AO scans, and they
Mm-hmm.
telling me everything in my body, what food sensitive I am, and my frequency that I'm off, that I need to listen to my frequency. Uh,
Yes.
you know, the people need to know about these things, right? And these are the type of candidates that we need, that has this kind of information. Say, hey, listen, this is how we solve the problem when it comes to health. This is
Yeah.
how we address your kids is off balance, but then maybe they need to go see the chiropractor, so the chiropractor can straighten them out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to take that pill. Maybe we just need that chiropractor. And maybe you don't need to go to the chiropractor one time. Maybe you need to go a couple of times,
Yes.
because it take a while to get you straight, and then you go
Yep.
back for the adjustment. But you know, chiropractor made me march in place. And he said, now close your eyes and just march in place.
Mm-hmm.
When the man told me to open up my eyes, I was so far up and over just by
Yeah.
standing in space. And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, what's going on? He said, this is how off you are. And
Yep.
so he began to line me up, and I'm sitting there like, wow, okay. And then there are different herbs I take to keep my brain sharp.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Um, I have a young lady I want to give a shout out to. Her name is Mercedes Ferguson, and she sells ginger lemonade. Okay, and I get the aloe berry lemonade, the berry and beets lemonade. Um, she has so many different types: peach lemon, ginger lemon, and they all ginger lemonade, and honey turmeric lemonade. Oh, it's really good, but it's all healthy. It's all
Yeah.
no sugar at all in it. It's all healthy, and I think, when we are doing what we're doing to empower the people to be in charge, government shouldn't be in charge of our health. We should be
Mm-mm.
in charge of our health.
Yeah, the downside of that, because I agree with that. You should, but that comes back to you being responsible for yourself. And
Yes.
there's a lot of folks out there, unfortunately, that want to play the blame game and point fingers. And I believe you mentioned this earlier about, hey, I'm coming with solutions. I'm not going to bother you with trying to point fingers. I know how we can fix this, and here's how we do it. So stop. Yeah, it's almost become a societal norm to not take responsibility or accountability for the caca you may have done. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm just saying. But yet, you'll still go into the house of the Lord on Sunday morning and pray and say, "Please forgive me for the caca that I've done." And yeah, maybe you just need to own that. And if just on the heels of you talking about that lemonade, there's an amazing fellow. I believe his name is Kyle, who runs Tippecanoe Herbs there in Milwaukee. He's up there on oh my gosh, Kinnickinnick Avenue, and it's a whole apothecary. So if you're ever looking for more herbs to broaden your horizons in that area, check him out, because we still buy from him to this day. His stuff is that good, and we're 4 hours away now.
Yeah, we always dealing with different types of herbs and
Mhm.
listening to um, master herbalers, holistic doctors. My holistic doctor remind me that the food in America is so bad that it's against the law in some countries.
It is. It is. It
I know.
it it's ugly. And here's one of the things for me, and this will also apply to our conversation as well, is you have to pay attention to your body. And you have to pay
Yes.
attention to the world around you. And I'm going to blame my military upbringing in the fact that I was always situationally aware of what was going on around me, which also, made me acutely aware of what was going on within my body. Now, when I was younger, I was diagnosed with asthma, acute asthma, and the doctors told my mom and dad, okay, you need to pull all the stuff out of his room. He needs a bed, a dresser, minimal clothes, cotton sheets that need to be changed every day. My dad's like, hold on. No, no, he's a kid. He's going to learn to live with it, right? He's going to learn how things work. When his body says stop, he's going to learn to stop. And then we'll have the medication if he doesn't stop soon enough. And it was this awful syrupy, remember stuff, medications when we were kids, the nasty syrups and pink. Oh my God. It was
Oh yeah.
awful. So I learned to listen to my body. I was out there running and jumping and being a boy with everyone else. But when my lungs said, Tracy, you probably want to slow down right now, I learned to listen and stop and catch my breath. And if the asthma attack started, I would walk myself home. I would take my medicine and I would chill. And it was this early indoctrination into self-awareness. And
Mm.
the more you pay attention to your body, the more you realize, wow, I probably shouldn't have eaten this or that because my body doesn't like it. Here's the cool thing.
Yes.
There is a natural remedy for what ails you. Right? You have something that's stinging your skin, there's a remedy for that. You have something that's upsetting your tummy. I just had one just last week. I came down, I thought, man, I just feel like I just want to, right? And so I took one of these little tea packs and boiled it up and drank it down. And probably an hour later, I was good to go. No Imodium, none of those other brand name pills or anything. Just a tea and a couple of little shots of a tincture, and chill and pay attention to your body.
Yes.
However, they want us drugged, they want us drunk, they want us not paying attention to our body so that we'll do what it is. They want lemmings. That's what I believe. I believe, and I don't want to say they, everybody, right? There's lots of great people out there, but I believe the corporate forces want us just buying. They just want consumers. They want lemmings. They don't want people. So we have to educate the people so they'll start paying attention to themselves, to their surroundings, to the words that are being used to pull the wool over their eyes, because there's so often some bill or some motion in front of them. The words that's picked to name it, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, those words are carefully picked so that you
Yeah.
will align with it and say yes, right? Or if they want you to say no, they'll pick the words so that you'll say no. If you took the time to read what was in it, you might go, wow, that barely has anything to do with the Green Act. When you think it's going to be everything nature again, it has to do with, I don't know, speed railroads or something. take the time to do the research. This loops back to what we were talking about earlier, before you check off that box to yay or nay to something, because you may be chopping off your own foot, figuratively
Yes.
speaking.
So we are already over an hour. This is so good.
We're just rapping.
You're gonna have to give me another date and come back on and let's finish this because
Be my
this
pleasure, sir, anytime.
is yeah, this is amazing. So I'm gonna let you have some final words before we go. Before and my computer blacks out on us again. So go ahead with your final words, sir.
Oh, yeah. I guess my final words would be just slightly echoing what we already said, is that parties don't build communities, people do. Politicians won't build communities, people do. You build your own community. My mom at one point in time worked 2 jobs, right? Dad in the military, even after he got out, he didn't have to work, he wanted to. Whether you're a truck driver or a nurse or whatever it is, you guys are the engines of America, not the politicians. And when we stop seeing one another as red or blue or black or white or left or right, and start seeing each other as neighbors again, I think that's when we're going to start to win, all of us.
Oh, that is so awesome. So awesome. And I just want to piggyback on that. You know, we need to be back. We need to go back to being neighbors. We need to go back showing love to one another. And the only argument that I ever want to see again is the argument that my grandbaby's cuter than yours and my grass look better than yours. You know, those are the arguments I want to see because, you know, we'll be living in a time in a place where we all want the same thing. We might be on different roads, but we all want the same thing. We all want to protect our family property. We all want a thriving business. We all want our children to have the best education so they can compete with anybody in the world. But it all starts with us choosing the right people for the office. And so, with that, I want to say God bless you all, and we will talk to you soon. God bless.